Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am in California and this place is called Fort Historic Park. And today I would like to show you this place because the place is truly interesting and probably not that many people aware of it, but Fort Ross used to be a part of Russian Empire. The story of Fort Ross begins many years ago back in St. Petersburg, which used to be the imperial capital of Russia. Emperor Paul I of Russia chartered the company in the year of 1799. It was called pretty simple, Russian-American Company. It had the mission of establishing new settlements in Russian America, conducting trade with natives and carrying out the expansion of the empire in Alaska region. But in a little bit more than 60 years later, this whole idea will be sold forever. No expansion, no Russian America, and no nothing. Many people know that Alaska has been sold to the United States. But not that many people are aware that Russians were in Hawaii and in California at some point as well. Why do you think there is a river in Sonoma County named as Russian River? Well, it's because many years ago Russians were the only European power to claim these lands and they actually established a fort there. Fort Ross was the hub of the southernmost Russian settlements in North America from 1812 to 1841. It actually was the first multi-ethnic community in Northern California with a combination of native Californians, native Alaskans, Russians, Finns, and Swedes. It has been a subject of archaeological investigations, and it is a California historical landmark, as well as national historical landmark, and it is a part of California's Fort Ross State Historic Park. So as you can see, this place is very much real. It is preserved and protected. You can visit almost every single building in this place. It has very beautiful views of the Bay Area, where many years ago Russian ships would be docked. But for a minute, just imagine back in 1812, Russian Empire was at war with Napoleon. After defeat at the Battle of Borodino and capture of Moscow, then very famous Moscow Fire, there were no good news in Russia whatsoever. And yet there was a letter from Alaska reporting that a settlement has been organized through the initiative of the company. Its purpose is to establish new settlements there or in some other place not occupied by European powers, and to introduce agriculture by planting hemp, flax, and all manner of garden produce. They also wish to introduce livestock breeding in the outlying areas, both horses and cattle, hoping that a favorable climate, which is almost identical to the rest of California, and a friendly reception on the part of the local indigenous people will assist in its success. This settlement will be a great trading post with the growing region of San Francisco and Mexican territories. Of course, back then most of the California were under Mexican rule, and Russians were trying to establish trade with them and some other nations in the region. That was the main purpose of Fort Ross. From 1812, the settlement has grown with time. At some point, it had about 300 people living there. It was a small village right outside the fort, a few farms located in the area, a few windmills. Actually, very first California's windmills in general were in Fort Ross. And a cattle farm was located around this area. But still, it wasn't a real town because most of people were just, employees of the Russian-American company. And once their contracts with the company were fulfilled, they were usually returned back to Russia. And with time, Russian-American company realized that the trade isn't making lots of money. The fortress takes a huge portion of profits just to stay afloat. So back in 1839, the company decided to sell this property to someone else. British Empire didn't agree to purchase it. Mexican Empire neither. But the Mexican businessman of Swiss origin did purchase it for $30,000 back in 1841. His name was John Sutter. He didn't live on these lands, he just purchased it to keep because he was searching for gold in Northern California. So for him it was just another investment in land, nothing else. This place was a farm at some point, actually. It was a guest house at another point, and some people had ideas even to turn it into a resort with ocean views. A few different people owned it, for many years. But most of the time this place was, quite abandoned. And only in 1903 this land was purchased by California Historical Landmarks Commission. And 3 years later it was turned over to the state of California for preservation and restoration, basically. Like a state historic monument. And since then, since 1906, the state has acquired more of the surrounding land for preservation purposes, and California Department of Parks and Recreation, as well as many other volunteers, put extensive efforts into restoration and reconstruction work in the fort. And today, guys, you see the result of their work. Most of these buildings have been restored, of course, because nobody cared that much for the historical significance of this place back then. But thanks to the preservation efforts and to the state of California, this piece of history is still here. Fort Ross is the only example of Russian wooden fortress of 19th century in North America. It is one of those rare places which still has that wild and very old look, because, the area didn't change that much from the 1800s. That's why I wanted to show you this place. It's not big, it's not popular, but in its very specific way, it is unique and pretty interesting, especially for those people who love history and appreciate the beauty of these forever gone places. Well guys, I guess this is it for today. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like it and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you later. Have a nice one. Bye bye.